Mama, 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 mama.
Okay, let's hit the pause button and rewind. This is Keith Silverstein. Keith Silverstein is a voice actor. His voice has been in hundreds of amazing and nefarious characters. He has played Zhongli from Genshin Impact, Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter, Torbjörn from Overwatch. He has also been in My Hero Academia, Sonic games, Call of Duty, Jujutsu Kaisen, Smash Bros. Ultimate, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Transformers, One Punch Man, Beastars, Persona 5, Bleach, Konosuba, Doom Eternal, Resident Evil, the Skyrim franchise. That's about it, I'm going to say, because, you know what? Look, I could keep going, but why don't I just let Keith take it from here? Okay, so to start us off, I guess, one question is, how did you first get into voice acting anyway?
Well, when I was younger, I was very confused as to what I was going to do as a career. I didn't quite know. I knew I didn't really want a 9-to-5 job. Didn't seem quite right for me, but I was really torn between a lot of different things. So my uncle called me up, and he said he knew I did voices and what have you. And I'd taken acting classes all throughout my schooling and my upbringing. And so I actually called back and did a bunch of voices on his answering machine. And he ended up casting me for a couple of roles. He basically had some poetry that was supposed to be read in different tribal voices for these characters he'd created. So anyway, he had me come into a studio. He booked an actual studio, and everything was legit, real space, real microphones. And it gave me very much a sense of this career and what it's, at least a basic feel of what it's like to work behind the mic like that. And I fell in love with it. I mean, right away. It was so much fun and so creative, and so kind of instantaneously satisfying. It's I did on stage work too. So I did some theater work, and that's, where you're memorizing and you have plenty of time to think about a character. This is a little bit more flying by the seat of your pants, and just kind of go with it. And there's nothing you need to memorize. Just go, make a choice, and be ready to alter that choice if you're directed to do so. And I just loved it. So that was the start. And then after that, it was like a lot of people get into stuff. You just look for classes and try to find a way into the biz. And I struggled for a while. I worked, one gig, and then I would have nothing for 3-4 months, and I'd keep trying and keep auditioning. So it took me a while to get anything that was steady going.
That is actually pretty interesting. Like, how many years do you think you actually took to first figure out that you wanted this job, and then you got there?
Getting there is such a weird concept because it's hard to know when you've gotten there. I think for me, my first getting there, I used to wait tables. I was very cliche as an actor because it's a very easy job to have and get your shift covered if you have an audition or a gig or something. And so that worked for me. And the first time I thought I've kind of made it, not really there, but was when I was able to retire from waiting tables. When I was able to say, all right, I'm just doing voiceover from now. But even as you reach that point, there's still other goals, that you want to reach. So I don't know if I'll ever feel like I've made it, because you always have something else you want to attain. I think it was a couple of years. I'm trying to think. It takes a while to get those things too, or at least for me, it did. Some people maybe happens overnight. Good for them. I had to work.
So funny enough, that's the second question is, what did you do before voice acting? You said
waiting tables.
Yeah, waiting tables.
On the server. I mean, I did other things. That was just that was the main thing leading up. So I probably had done that for maybe 6 years before and during getting started as an actor, as a voice actor. I mean, I did other things before that. I worked at I worked for the Orange County Transit Department, their buses, for Goodyear tires, and I changed the tires on an entire fleet of buses. I was responsible for that. I mean, I did a few different things, but waiting tables I did the longest.
This is kind of different from the first few. things that we talked about. So I've noticed that your voice sounds really villain-like, I guess, when you're in the booth a lot. So like,
are you telling me I sound like a bad guy right now?
I mean,
do I
no,
sound
not
evil?
right now, but like
what about
you're...
my voice sounds evil? Nothing.
Oh my God.
I don't sound evil at all. There is absolutely nothing evil about my voice. No, nothing. What do you mean? Nice guy.
Well, I mean, but like, okay. So how do you what are your routines or exercises to get your voice, or like train your voice to get to that level of expertise, I guess?
Well, there's kind of daily things, and there's things that happen over time. So first off, in training, I mean, it's just trying stuff out. Even when I was a kid, I was always trying out voices and attempting impersonations. So just exploring that is one thing. Obviously, acting chops, because you don't have to do 100 voices. A lot of voice actors get by with just really, one solid voice, just themselves, but they're very good actors. So, whatever emotion they need to be, or slight little changes on your voice. It's not your voice so much, but you sound different when you're angry than when you're happy. Whether you're making
Right.
You have to make a voice to be that. So if you're playing a character who is just generally angry all the time, you're going to sound different. You won't be unrecognizably different. You're not putting on a voice like this. It's not that big of a difference, but it makes a difference. So it's all that training. For me, I make sure to get to bed at a reasonable hour, to be honest. And I think the older I've gotten, the more that's been important, but I think it always was important. And we all know ourselves. For me, it's going to sound funny, but like I'm lactose intolerant. So I know that if I could cheat and do some dairy here and there, but if I do, it actually affects it. My nose gets plugged up and I sound more nasal, and I'm not able to do as many things. Not going to a concert and screaming. You can go to the concert. I've gone to plenty of concerts and pretended to scream. because I'm not doing that. I've got a big session tomorrow. I'm into it. Trust me, I'm super into it. And nobody knows I'm not doing it because everybody else is screaming. But I've done that before, because you got to take care of your voice. So there's things like that. Obviously, there's, getting good sleep. I said there's breathing exercises, stretching exercises. All of that matters. And of course, vocal exercise. And when I say stretching, I mean legitimately, stretches you would do like you were doing yoga. But at the same time, I mean also stretching out your face and your mouth and these things, which I look ridiculous doing, but it's important to do those things. Even things like, there's vocal exercises, the, ma, 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 the singing exercises, all those kinds of things. All of that helps get you warmed up. So tongue twisters, it's all important. And I think everybody's got a different way to do that. But I try to spend 5 to 10 minutes a day before I audition, before I have a session, to at least do some kind of vocal warm-ups, for sure, as well as getting to sleep on time and all those things. Sorry, that was a long way to answer that question. But
No, it was great. I was actually wondering what happens to a voice actor if they get sick.
Mm-hmm. I've been sick before and had sessions. I think I've only had 2 sessions that were called because I was sick, meaning we just decided, yeah, let's do this another day. In terms of, that means I actually showed up and said, look, and warned them ahead of time, because I'm very professional about it. So if I know I don't sound the way I'm supposed to sound, I will tell that studio I'm not feeling well. I'm fine to come in, but I'm not sounding my full, like I lost my voice, whatever. And sometimes they say, you know what? Thank you for telling us, come on in. And you can sometimes work through it. It really depends on the character you're playing. I play a lot of deep, bassy, throaty, raspy characters. And if I'm playing those, I can usually pull it off. Sometimes they sound better. So sometimes they'll have you record anyway, and then you'll come back and they'll, get another session for you when you're feeling a little bit better.
I've done some research on other things that you've done, like interviews and stuff.
Oh, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble now.
Who's your other favorite character or writer that
you like to voice act for?
Oh, that's funny. You're talking about Nazim from Skyrim. Nazim from Skyrim is only one of my favorites because he's just kind of an infamous character. People love to hate him in the Skyrim game. So characters that are my favorites. I don't have a one favorite character, and that is probably because there are so many different reasons to have a favorite character. So there are characters that are a lot of fun to play while you're playing them. So I played a character named Hisoka on a series called Hunter x Hunter. Hisoka is just such a fun character. Well, it looks like that poor man's arms have turned to flower petals. I never knew what was going to happen with him. He was just fun. So I miss voicing him because he was just fun at the time. Then there are characters. I played a character named Himimaro in Naruto, and that was the first series that I worked on that I really knew what the series was. Meaning I was like, wow, this is a huge series. It's very popular. And I have a 10-episode arc in it. That's really cool. Like I knew that, I was aware of it at the time. So it feels like a big part of my career. It's also the first time I worked for a specific studio that I ended up having worked, that I had a good relationship with, and I've still worked with to this day. So that kind of sentimentally, I remember that character and how important that was for me at that time. And it was a springboard to other shows. Torbjörn from Overwatch Overwatch was like this, it still is this worldwide success, just like nothing else. And there's a TV somewhere in the world because of Overwatch that my voice is coming out of a TV somewhere every second of the day because Overwatch is that popular. And so that, and the friends and the family that I've made and working with Blizzard, I mean, it's just been, that's amazing. And that's one of my favorites for that reason. So, you know what I mean? I have a lot of favorites. I really do. Because it can be, like I said, sentimentality. It can be a show that you love the cast that you worked with, or just something special was about it. I work on a show called Miraculous Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir. And that's a hugely popular show. And one of the things I really like about that, I like that my young girls can watch it and they love it. And they have friends that love it. And I love that it's got a young audience. It skews to, from anywhere from like 4 years old to there are 30-year-olds who still watch the show and enjoy it. A lot of parents who hear it in the background get into the show. And I hear this all the time from parents, like, I love the show too. I can't help it. They get sucked in. But I like that one because there's a comfort to that one, because all these kids are going to grow up and I will have that in common with these kids who are then adults for the next like 30 years. So I have a lot of favorites for a lot of different reasons.
So do you work in your booth, in like a booth like that's in your house, or?
I do. Well, listen, generally speaking, what I do is that this is my office. It's kind of a little back house. And right over here, behind this wall right here is my booth. And so I come out here and I generally record auditions here. I get them through emails and I send them off. And if I get booked, I go into whatever studio I'm supposed to go in and I record there. Now, obviously with the pandemic, that all got shut down for good reason. And many of us who didn't have booths or had makeshift booths, even I have a good booth, but I still improved my booth as soon as that happened. I called up an engineer buddy of mine who I'm very thankful for, and recorded stuff and said, listen and tell me what you hear, because he's got a great ear for that. And he was like, here's what you need to do to your booth. It sounds really good, but it could be better. So now with the pandemic, I record right here. And basically, unless a neighbor has like major construction work or a plane flies directly overhead, it's pretty good. And I don't have any issues with the sound.
This is my booth right here.
There you go. You just need some padding. You need some soundproofing.
Right.
And then you're good to go. But as space-wise, there are a lot of working, incredibly talented actors who now are recording out of their closets and who regularly do for auditions. That's very, very common, actually.
So, like, compared to your at-home booth or to the actual like booth that you go into, what's the difference, or is there a difference?
Oh, there's definitely a difference. I mean, I think probably the biggest difference is I'm responsible for the tech on my side. I've got to make sure that I'm recording it on I use Pro Tools, but whatever you're using to record, just make sure everything's working smoothly. I need to be responsible for the audio, for the gain, so that I'm not too loud. See, generally speaking, as an actor, when you go into a studio, the engineer, they'll ride that gain. They'll watch you, and they know you're going to yell for this line, and they'll turn it down just right, and they'll match everything. And if they miss it, they'll be like, can we get one more of that? That was a little technical on that. But I don't have to worry about that. I'm not responsible, meaning I go in, I listen to the director, I act, I adjust my acting, I do that, I focus 100% on acting, and then I'm done, and I leave, and I say, bye, everybody, thanks. Now I've got to make sure everything's working. I've got to peek out my little window and make sure that Pro Tools has not stopped recording, that there's no problems. I've got to make sure if it's too loud, I'm the one that's got to turn it down and say, let me give you one more take. Hang on, that was peaking, that was a little too loud. And then when it's done, then I've got to dump down those files, and I've got to basically email those files or Dropbox those files to the studio. There's more responsibility. I mean, that's one aspect. The other aspect, I'll say quickly, is the energy. When you walk into a multi-million-dollar studio, there's a very different energy to it. Whereas when you're at home, I've noticed sometimes I have a tendency to get too comfortable. You go into a big studio, you're nervous. But that nervousness is really, really good. Like, you want that. It gives you a different energy. It puts you on your toes. So I've got to remind myself this is important, because even whether I'm working for Disney or a smaller company, I'm still in the same booth here. And it's very easy to be like, I'm at home. And in some ways that comfort is good, and in other ways it can be bad. So you have to monitor that and make sure you're like serious and you're bringing your A game and you're 100%.
What advice would you give someone like me? Because I do want to become a voice actor like you.
Well, a few things. I mean, first off, know that voice acting is acting at its core. So take acting classes. Listen to the people who are talking. When somebody makes you laugh or chuckle, or a voice or a character kind of pulls your ear, don't disregard that and dig deeper into your video game or whatever you're doing. Instead, go, and listen to that and kind of log that. And so, what is it about that voice that's interesting to me? Sometimes it's fun to hear it without even looking at them. You know what I mean? Like when something draws your attention, and kind of imagine what you think this person looks like from what they're saying, and then kind of glance over and go, oh, no, wait, I'm right on, or I'm so off. How interesting is that? And let's see, what else? I mean, if it's something you want to do, there are a lot of great resources out there. Also, there's a website called I Want to Be a Voice Actor by D. Bradley Baker that he put up that covers pretty much everything. And it's a website. It's just up there. It's just a free website. So that's a great resource. I know there's a ton of books out there that can help you and cover all the little questions you'll have, like how do I get started? And what if I live in, Denver, Colorado and not in Los Angeles? Like, what do I do? So a lot of those things are covered. But like anything, if you love it, study it, believe in yourself, give yourself the time to nurture that talent within yourself and to do it, to achieve, because it takes a while. I know a lot of actors who moved out to Los Angeles and gave themselves like a time limit. Well, if I can do it in 2 years, or if I can do it. And, if that's a motivational thing for you, that's great. But I always feel bad for some of these talented people that I'm like, man, I wonder what would have happened if they just gave themselves like 3 more months. So if you love it and you want to do it, really work hard to make it happen. And if it happens overnight, that's great. But if it doesn't, be ready, enjoy the journey. Because even the times where I struggled or I was trying to get started, I still look back at those times fondly, because that was all part of the journey. So, let yourself fail and let yourself learn from that and grow, and continue to be creative.
You want to say anything? No?
Do I want to say something? I'm sure I want to say something. Why don't I say, let me give you a couple of character things just for fun. Why not, right? People always underestimate the engineers. Build them up, break them down. It's really popular right now, if I can think of a quote from it.
Engine Impact.
Osmanthus wine tastes the same as I remember. But where are those who share the memory? Little Zhongli for those who are playing again, because I know Genshin Impact is huge right now. It's really,
yeah.
So yeah, there. That I will leave you with those final words.